All right, folks, welcome to my special edition of the classroom in which we are talking about conspiracy theories, specifically two conspiracy theory events, the moon landing and the John F. Kennedy assassination. So I would preface this by saying I do not generally believe in conspiracy theories myself. Because I happen to, somebody told me, I think Mr. Vossler told me, he's right there, that's Mr. Vossler. He told me one time that, and this is a saying, that the simplest explanation is almost always the correct one. So that's usually what I operate in under. I don't usually have a lot of reason to believe that the government's lying to me. I don't have some massive I don't know, agitation towards the government or anything like that. So I would preface this by saying that I really don't believe these in general, but they are interesting and fun to talk about. So we talk about them. So that is where we go. Now, in the true essence of conspiracy theories, one of the most basic conspiracy theories is the government's reading your mind. So to prevent against that, I have the universal conspiracy theory thing here, which is a tinfoil hat. So I will wear this while discussing the conspiracy theories, because that is what I'm talking about, is conspiracy theories. So let's start with the space race, okay? Space race, shall we? But also, I guess specifically the moon landing. Now, the main conspiracy theory about the moon landing is that we never actually landed on the moon. Okay, that is kind of the idea. We did not land on the moon, according to this theory. The statement was made that this was not the moon. The moon is not this place. This actually happens to be, according to this conspiracy theory, this happens to be a stage in Hollywood that was filming the moon landing and then broadcasting out to the world by way of the U.S. government. So the government basically fabricated this moon landing to make it look like we won the space race by getting to the moon first, beating the Russians to get there. So this is a popular conspiracy theory. A lot of people say, nah, we didn't actually get to the moon. I think we did. I think we did. But some people would say, well, on the moon, is there wind? Why is this flag flying in the wind here? Okay, why is it ruffling? I know that there's a bar across the top, but why is it all wavy in the middle there? There's no wind in the moon. Interesting. I don't know. It's interesting. Very, very, very interesting. So, and people are like, well, how could you transmit a signal, a video signal, straight down to Earth from the moon when you couldn't hardly talk that much either? So it's like, okay, how do you do that? I don't know. It's very, very interesting. A lot of people think that, we didn't actually get to the moon. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, that's the moon landing one. A lot of people think we didn't actually get there. Now, on to the JFK assassination. This is the bigger one. Okay, the moon landing one is just like, okay, did we make it or not? That's kind of the point here. So the John F. Kennedy assassination. The official government position in the JFK assassination is that there was one shooter, Lee Harvey Oswald. His name is here. Okay, Lee Harvey Oswald. One shooter, Lee Harvey Oswald. He was, and I'm just using these slides. You don't need to write any of this down unless you want to, but I'm just using these slides so that I can show you the pictures that I have. So Lee Harvey Oswald, one shooter. He was shooting from the 7th floor, I think the 7th floor of the, either the 6th or 7th, I can't count. I think that's the 7th. The Texas School Book Depository. So he shot John F. Kennedy 2 times. And then first shot wounded him, second shot killed him. Okay. Now, that's a little fuzzy, okay? I'll just say that. So let's go ahead and look into this, okay? So John F. Kennedy, if you and at this point, I guess I'll tell you about this, okay? So there was a bunch of footage of the of the event. Okay, there's a crowded plaza, tons of people there. All this grassy area in this picture was filled with people lining this road. Okay, so he kind of curls down where these four cars are here, and he gets shot right about here, right where this front white car is. Then he gets shot again right about where this road sign is. So he gets shot a couple times, or maybe a little further back, but he gets shot from the top of this window straight down onto this road. Crowded with people. Okay, there is one guy who takes video of this that is far and away the best video of the whole thing. Now, given that it is the best video, it is also extremely graphic, and if you don't like that sort of thing, I wouldn't watch it. Okay, it is a video in which John F. Kennedy's head kind of explodes. So his last name was Zapruder, and it is the Zapruder film. I'm not going to show it to you on here because I don't do that. If we were in class, all I would do is write the name on the board and tell you to watch it later if you wanted to, because I don't want to show it to you in class. I don't think that I can or should. So if you want to watch it, great. If you don't want to, I'll kind of explain what happens in less graphic detail that you would be able to see on the video. It's only like 30 seconds long. So John F. Kennedy is riding along in the motorcade here. His arms go up. Okay, he gets shot in the back, they figure, and it hit him like in the spinal cord or hit a nerve, and it reflexed, or his arms reflex to go up, such as this. And so he's just kind of like sitting there. His wife sitting next to him in the car here. That's what makes this whole thing a little bit more tragic, is his wife is sitting right next to him. His wife, Jacqueline Kennedy, is sitting right next to him in this car while this happens to him. So his arms go up like this. As his arms are like this, his wife's like, "Hey, what's going on? Are you okay?" And he doesn't respond. And then next thing you know, he kind of gets hit, and his head kind of does stuff, bad stuff, stuff that your head's not supposed to do. Now, there's a guy in front of John F. Kennedy here. Okay, John F. Kennedy pictured here, and right in front of him is the governor of Texas. The governor of Texas. I think his name is McConnell. Governor of Texas, whatever his name is. He gets shot too, but he was shot by the same bullet. Okay, the same bullet that shot John F. Kennedy. And you say, wait a second, how does this work? How does one bullet hit two people? Well, there is this thing, and it's a theory called the magic bullet. Okay, the government's position is that one person, Lee Harvey Oswald, shot John F. Kennedy 2 times, but the first one is called the magic bullet. First one shot John F. Kennedy in the back. He went like this. It exited in front of him, out of his ribs or whatever. The governor sitting right in front of him. The bullet kind of does this whole thing as it comes towards the governor, pokes into his back, goes through him, hits him. I want to say it hits him in his hand, and then his knee, and then it gets lodged into the floor of the car. Okay, so it just like bounces around and broke a bunch of bones in the governor, and so that's the same bullet that hit John F. Kennedy. So that bullet they ended up finding. It's called the magic bullet. It's all dented up. You can look it up, look up the magic bullet, and you'll see a picture of the exact bullet that was shot. So that is the magic bullet theory. Now, according to the government, they would have you believe that it was one bullet. But some people question, based on those videos, based on the Zapruder film, based on when people reacted to getting shot, they think that the bullet might have stopped in midair and moved over a little bit and then went through the governor. Okay, stopped in midair for like just a split second, a frame or two on the video, and then moved over and went into the governor. Now, I don't believe any of that, because smarter people than I, have recreated this whole thing and basically recreated the shot that Lee Harvey Oswald took. Mythbusters did it. You can look up the Mythbusters special. This is like a famous documentary thing. Like if you've ever watched Discovery Channel in November, which was when this happened, middle of November 22nd, I think. 1963. If you've ever watched Discovery Channel at that time, there's usually a Kennedy Assassination special, something or other. And they recreate this shot, and they've done it. So the bullet didn't move over. They just don't account for where the governor was sitting and all that stuff. So I don't believe that. I do believe one bullet shot John F. Kennedy and the governor at the same time because it just went through both people. Anyways, so they say another bullet shot John F. Kennedy and exploded his head from the Texas School Book Depository. Now, if you were to say, yeah, he got shot, then where would the bullet be? It would be in the motorcade or be in the limo somewhere, or it might also be in the ground or the pavement. The bullet was never found, not one time, never found. They scoured the whole place, looked around the whole plaza, okay, looked around this whole plaza, no bullet found anywhere, okay? It's a little sketchy. So they don't find the bullet. Now, there arises a question of, okay, well, John F. Kennedy, when he gets shot second time, he kind of like goes, if I'm remembering correctly, wait a second right here. I'm going to go watch the film and then I'll come back. Okay, I'm back. Here's a Zapruder film if you wanted to see that, but I'll go back to here. Okay, so he ends up, when he reacts to this second shot, he like goes backwards, like he got hit from the front. It looks like, I don't know, but it looks like he got hit from the front, the way that video goes. So people question whether or not there was a second shooter. Lee Harvey Oswald up in the top floor here of the Texas School Book Depository, but they question whether there was a second shooter down here on what is called the grassy knoll. The grassy knoll. The grassy knoll is infamous for this reason. It's probably been referred to. Anytime I've ever heard it referred to is as the infamous grassy knoll. Because it is just this little bump in the ground here that there might have been a second shooter standing at that shot John F. Kennedy from the front about this direction where my mouse is going, and then never be found. The problem with the Zapruder film is Zapruder's standing like somewhere in here by these trees, okay, where my mouse is kind of dancing around. Or no, he's over in here by these trees where my mouse is dancing around. So he's standing right under these trees, and as the motorcade passes by this road sign, he's kind of coming right into full view of this whole thing. But as the motorcade speeds away down the road here, where my mouse is going, he stops filming. He could have just continued filming, and we would have seen what was on the grassy knoll, but we don't. So we think that there might have been a second shooter there, somebody else who shot John F. Kennedy from the front, and so. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows, really? We don't know. We really do not know. So, like I said, the official government position is that there was one shooter, Lee Harvey Oswald, from the 7th floor of the School Book Depository in the top corner there of this picture. So, that's interesting. Okay, very, very interesting. Now, let's fast forward a little bit, okay? Fast forward, I think 1 day or 2 days, okay? This adds a little bit of intrigue to this whole thing. Lee Harvey Oswald was supposedly hired by the CIA to take out John F. Kennedy. That's what they think, the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. Okay, they're not sure, but we think that they might have. We think that they might have. He was like actively working with Cuba, and we'll talk about the whole Cuban issue that's going on in Thursday's class, I guess, with Cuba and Fidel Castro and all that stuff. But we think, at least conspiracy theorists that wear these tinfoil hats, think that Lee Harvey Oswald was hired by the CIA to take out John F. Kennedy because John F. Kennedy made the CIA look bad in a move that was called the Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961. Yeah, which we'll talk about on Thursday. So anyways, they think, or at least conspiracy theorists think, that we are trying to cover up in this John F. Kennedy assassination. They try to cover up what is happening. And they don't want Lee Harvey Oswald to go stand trial for this murder. So what happens here is a dear, I guess not a dear guy, but a guy by the name of Jack Ruby. Okay, let me talk about him for a second. So Lee Harvey Oswald is being transferred from, I think, the jail to the courthouse, and he's like taken downstairs into the parking garage, going to get in the back of a van, or the back of a car, or van, whatever, to go to, I think it's the courthouse. Now, there's all sorts of reporters that are lining the walkway to the van, and they're taking pictures and shouting questions at him. He's just kind of being dragged along by these two guards. Next thing you know, this guy pops out of the crowd. His name is Jack Ruby. Pops out of the crowd, runs up to Lee Harvey Oswald, shoots him right in the chest, and Lee Harvey Oswald drops dead. Okay, Jack Ruby just killed the guy who supposedly killed John F. Kennedy. Now, interesting thing about Jack Ruby, you'd say, oh, well, did he stand trial? He happened to have a very, very bad heart condition, I believe, that he died like a month later. Okay, and he knew that he only had a little while to live, but he died like a month later. So he never stood trial, to my knowledge, for this, and he doesn't get incriminated for this either. So it's all very, very interesting. Makes me feel like there's a cover-up happening. Very, very interesting. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Might be something fishy under the surface. Now they take John F. Kennedy's body back to I want to say Washington D.C. and there was an autopsy done on the body. But the people who did the autopsy were Navy doctors because John F. Kennedy was in the Navy. So Navy doctors, and John F. Kennedy gets the autopsy done. So they try to look and see, okay, what killed you and how did it kill you? They know a gunshot did, but where was it coming from? The autopsy people made a ton of mistakes in the autopsy. And the problem with an autopsy is you really get one shot at it. And so you got to know what you're doing because after you go in and you start taking apart somebody's skull and recreating skull fragments and things like that, you really don't get a second shot at it. So they made a ton of mistakes and they kind of buried him, and we don't really actually know exactly what happened and exactly what the killing blow was for John F. Kennedy. So we're not sure. We don't know. But all of this leads us to a bunch of other conspiracy theories. There are a bunch of them, a million conspiracy theories about this thing. There is a little storm drain here on this picture right next to this white car. And there's a theory that there was a guy with a gun in the storm drain that peeped up and shot John F. Kennedy through the storm drain. So there's so many different stories about this. There is just enough fuzziness to kind of open it up to a number of conspiracy theories. I would say that conspiracy theories only survive in places that there's not 100% of the details figured out because that leaves gray area open for people to question. So that's kind of interesting, and that's definitely what's taking place here. So as I would say, take my tinfoil cap off here, I don't believe any of that. Okay, I think John F. Kennedy was shot by one guy, Lee Harvey Oswald 2 shots. Because if you look at the video, he goes backwards, but this side of his head kind of goes, and so he would have been shot from the back, and then that would have been what happened in the front. So it makes sense to me. I don't know why didn't we ever find that second bullet? I don't know. But there's enough gray area where it leads people to think about conspiracy theories. But again, I do not believe them. So yeah, you can spend days of your life watching YouTube documentaries on John F. Kennedy's assassination and all the theories about him. So if you want to, feel free. Peruse at your leisure. But at this point, I'm going to end my bonus episode of conspiracy theories here. So we're going to wrap it up there, and I will catch up with you guys tomorrow. If you guys have any questions or comments about any of these conspiracy theories, let me know, and I'd be happy to entertain them more or talk about them more or clarify anything that I said. So that's all I'm going to say. We'll leave it there. So take it easy. I'll see you guys back here again tomorrow.